If you are trying to deny someone of their identity and deny what their life experience is, then that doesn't seem like a moral stance to me. I want to be accepting and I want to respect people's life experiences and respect the way that they want to identify and respect the way that they want to present themselves to the world.
Bronte, I would like to identify, I do identify actually, as the correct person on this issue.
Brim low on my fitted, dreams always been vivid. I'm just trying to go get it, catch me right around and I'm ignorant, I'm just rolling.
In this debate, we had a medical student whose pronouns are she/her/hers. And Michael Knowles is an American commentator who identifies as correct/person. Huh? And you know me.
And I'm a sex symbol, Larry. You said it.
You on my channel. I identify as he/sexy.
Nigga, please.
Please do not misgender me. And before we watch the debate, here's a clip on the proper way to introduce yourself. Roll the clip.
I just go by she, her. What about you?
I just use my name as my main pronoun.
What's your name?
Nick.
Nick.
Yeah, but my secondary pronoun, I just go by her. So just like you go by she, her, instead of she, I go by Nick, basically. So I got this exercise that I do basically for us to get comfortable with each other's pronouns. So basically, I'll start with the exercise. So for you, I'd go you're she, her, you're she, her, you're she, her. And for me, you could go.
You're Nick. You're.
Gotcha.
Cancel.
Quarter ass in 4K. Anyways, this is a debate about pro-choice versus pro-life. I personally have liberal and conservative values.
Stop the show.
But I'm not on the fence about this one. I'm pro-choice, but we'll roll a clip and I'll react to it at the end.
Okay, well, Michael, do you know what the leading cause of death for pregnant people is?
Pregnant people? Mothers? Women?
If you'd like to call them mothers, not all of them are mothers, but if you'd like to call them that.
What are they if they're not mothers?
They're pregnant people.
What people other than mothers are pregnant?
Does it bother you to use inclusive language?
No. And yes, I've called people nicknames before. If you go by Stink or Fat or the Baby, I don't mind calling people nicknames. So if your name is Alex, but you go by Alexa, not you, bitch. Mind your business. Anyways, I'm cool with Alexa. But what you're not gonna do is make me act like anybody can be a mom. I can't be a mom, regardless of what I identify as.
Well, it's just interesting because
I prefer to use precise language.
It's interesting because you come into this conversation, you know, trying to hold this moral superiority, but then
I try to be moral when I can, but
Right, but when I use inclusive language, which it only takes a couple extra syllables to use inclusive language.
To include
and
who?
It seems to include people who don't, identify as women but can become pregnant.
So, like a person who's born a woman and then identifies as a man and is pregnant.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that in order to be a moral person, I need to accept the idea that a man, someone who is born a man and looks like a man, can really become a woman. That's a prerequisite of my being a moral person.
I mean, yes. To me it is, because if you are trying to deny someone of their identity and deny what their life experience is, then that doesn't seem like a moral stance to me.
So if your kid identifies as a bird, would you let him go to the moon and try to jump off and fly away?
No.
Exactly, because we both know that motherfucker can't fly.
Yeah, I don't think you should never do that again. I thought you was gonna walk down the top step.
So yeah, this is where liberals lose me. In fact, how about I rob you and when the cops show up, I identify as innocent? Bet you wouldn't like that.
I want to be accepting and I want to respect people's life experiences and respect the way that they want to identify and respect the way that they want to present themselves to the world.
Bronte, I would like to identify, I do identify actually, as the correct person on this issue of abortion. I identify as being correct and more correct than you on this issue. And I would just ask that you accept and affirm my identity. Do you?
Well, you are not a medical professional, and abortion and pregnancy is a medical concern. That's not your identity.
That is my identity. I promise you that's my identity. I promise you
that's very different from your sexual and gender identity.
How so? What I'm talking here involves the mind. I mean, don't you think? I'm not just talking about my gonads or something like that. I'm not just talking about my sexual appetites or desires. I'm talking about my mind, my capacity for reason, my judgment here. And so you're saying you don't respect that identity, but you do respect the identity of a man who believes himself to be a woman.
I'm saying that you are someone without medical training, and pregnancy is a medical condition and abortion is a medical procedure. And so we need to abide by the informed and knowledgeable opinions of medical experts. Again, you are entitled to your opinion, but you are not an informed and knowledgeable medical expert.
See, that's you just moving the goalposts, because depending on a doctor's belief, one might say a baby is considered a human after 14 days, 3 weeks, or even 9 weeks. And the last time I checked, none of these doctors are God. And if I asked my doctor if a man could have a baby, they would say no. So, who's right and who's wrong?
So your opinion is not equal and should not override the opinions of medical experts on this issue. And they have stated unequivocally that abortion access is essential to comprehensive, evidence-based health care.
Bronte, are you a trained epistemologist?
No.
You haven't studied epistemology?
No.
And yet, you are making claims about knowledge and how knowledge can be ascertained and expressed. But you're not trained in that. So it seems to me, if I'm not allowed to have opinions about abortion because I'm not a trained medical professional, you surely shouldn't be permitted to have opinions about how people hold opinions if you're not trained in the very study of knowledge, epistemology.
I'm slow, so here's the definition of epistemology. It's the theory of knowledge, especially with regards to its methods, validity, and scope. Epistemology is the investigation of what distinguishes justified beliefs from opinions. Interesting.
Epistemology.
Fucking word.
I'm sorry, if you have a heart condition, who do you go to? Do you go to your deli worker or do you go to a cardiologist?
If you have a philosophical question, who do you go to?
This isn't a philosophical question. This is a question about, it's a question about medical access. This is a question about medical access.
No, well, ultimately, what we're talking about is human life, right? I mean, that's the reason it's a controversial issue.
Well, yes, but also pregnant people are living human lives.
And here's where the conservatives lose me. And I know I have a mixed crowd, but I think it's funny that a party that is against all these social programs like food stamps, welfare, and Section 8 want people to keep having babies they aren't even ready to have. But you don't want tax dollars to go to those babies when they grow up. Once the baby is here, it's all up to the mother and father. And I agree when you say we have a ton of contraception and people should practice safe sex. But the fact is, raw sex is awesome.
Damn right.
Truth is, people should wear their seatbelts and not drink and drive, but people do. And when it comes to having a kid, it's my personal belief that making the mistake to not put a condom on shouldn't ruin 3 lives: the father, the mother, and that baby, because they will all struggle if they can't afford this kid. I'm out.